Hello, my name is Gray,
And my name is Crystal.
and this is Bus Station Beauty's supernatural commentary podcast where I, someone who has seen this show several times.
And I, someone who only knows the show through social media, discuss every single episode of Supernatural from start to finish. Also, we are both Asian.
Both Asian, so for this episode, we will be discussing Season 2, Episode 17, Heart. Written by Sarah Gamble and directed by Kim Manners.
I can't believe Kim Manners did this to my eyeballs.
It's not that bad. Like, there are some shots and like some cuts that are genuinely
There is one scene
hilarious.
that is genuinely awful to watch.
It's incredibly funny, like, this episode. I know that most people will probably remember Heart as a gut-wrenching, like, tearjerker episode or whatever. But I will remember this episode as the most hilarious episode in Supernatural thus far. It is so
God.
funny.
Yeah, I
It
just
is-
can't believe that this happens 2 episodes after Tall Tales, where John
I
Shaban
know.
tried to put his whole just shussy into being funny, and like it
Sarah
cannot
Gamble
come anywhere close
out-Jussied
to
him.
her.
Literally. It's so funny. And I mean, we'll get into it when we get into it, but multiple times in this episode, I had to stop and pause and like start pacing around the house laughing maniacally. Like, it's that funny. So yeah,
really
I
is.
thoroughly enjoyed watching this episode just for the fun factor.
Yeah, I think it took me 1.5 hours to watch this 40-minute episode because I had to keep pausing and screaming.
So true. Okay, so before going in, Crystal, what did you know about this episode prior?
Okay, so this whole episode generally was in Bad Moon Rising, which is the fic that's the season 1 and 2 Supernatural rewrite with Arab, Sam, and Dean that I haven't mentioned in a while. So yeah, I knew that generally, like, it was gonna be about Madison and that she was a werewolf, but they wouldn't know for a while, and that she killed, like, her boss who sexually harassed her and her shitty abusive boyfriend while she was a werewolf. And then eventually, after they find out, and she goes like, oh, like, I don't want to hurt people anymore, so you can just kill me even though basements exist and you would just lock me in there. Though that's not what she does in Bad Moon Rising, but I do know that's what happens in this episode. And also I know about the scene where Sam and Dean do rock, paper, scissors to, like, decide who gets to stay behind with her, and also about the scene where she's folding lingerie in front of Sam. And
God.
Sam looks away like a lesbian seeing Victoria's Secret in the mall. And I think,
Yeah.
oh yeah, and I specifically know about the scene where she, like, smirks while she's folding her underwear, because that's the end of the Sam slumber party AMV.
So true.
Yeah. Which is very, very important to, like, Supernatural history.
They literally had a slumber party this episode.
Yep.
Okay, so to begin, we start with, again, like per usual with episodes where there's no like backstory to dive into. We start with no, what's that? Road so far, which I thought
Yeah.
was interesting. Every single time there's no
glad.
road so far, I'm like, that's interesting. And it has
Yeah.
happened so many times and I still can't move on.
I'm glad that there wasn't a road so far, because I think if there was, it would just be all the scenes of Sam going like, I'm a monster and you have
Yeah.
to kill me. And they already make it so clear that they're trying to parallel Sam in this episode that having a road so far about it, like, I would be, like, so sick and done with this episode, like, 10 minutes in.
No, literally. So, we start in California. Does it say where in California? San Francisco. Oh yeah, because we see a lot of the San Francisco Bridge thing a lot this episode.
Mm.
Right? They really hammer it home.
Yeah, the
But
Bay Area sure can have Bay.
but we start with Madison, who is this woman, and her friends
Yeah.
having fun and having drinks. And it's so funny to me because the entire scene where she's talking to her friends, they're not talking at all, they're just laughing.
Yeah.
Literally, that's just how women talk.
Women talk.
Like this is how Supernatural thinks women talk.
Yeah,
Like they just
like
go.
women don't have thoughts. They don't have
Literally.
sentences. They just laugh.
Literally. Supernatural thinks women only exist to be talked to by men and laugh within themselves.
Yeah. Ugh, it's such a tease to open in San Francisco, California, with Madison at a bar with other women and then not even have her be gay. You know?
Why is San Francisco a gay thing?
Yeah, San Francisco is a very gay city. Also, haven't you read those
Are
posts?
you from there?
No. Haven't you read those posts that are like, Sam applied to Stanford because he knew that California was the only place that he could be gay?
In the bar, a man goes up to her, and it's her boss, Nate, and he's
Yep.
saying like, "Hey, we need to go back to the office because there's some papers that we need to be done by midnight." But he's obviously tipsy, and he's obviously flirting her up, and Madison is like not having any of his shit. So at some point she says like, "Yeah, this is not working," and then he's like, "Well, I'm a bit tipsy, so can you drive me?" And she's like, I'll call a cab." She's shutting him down, and she laughs with her friends that he's really like that when he gets a little bit drunk. Madison is surrounded by terrible guys this episode, and I
Yep.
am counting Sam Winchester.
Sam Winchester. My god.
Yeah.
Such a creep this episode.
He's literally such a creep.
And, like, Sarah Gamble tries to counteract this by making Dean, like, twice the creep he usually is so that Sam looks good in comparison. But, like, my god, get all of these men out of here.
Eventually, Madison goes back to her drink when she notices a guy in the corner who's staring at her. And the guy looks exactly like he's doing a Sam Winchester cosplay. This guy has like shoulder length hair, is wearing flannel under a jacket, shit like that. He literally looks like a Sam Winchester cosplayer.
Yeah, no. I thought what he looked like was, they just very clearly wanted you to think he was a werewolf. Cause, like, he looks like, I feel like all human werewolves look like they do, like, nature hikes in mud, Like, that's the vibe that he has.
Not my resident Blorbo Wellrolf Shi-Long Lang. He is wearing a leather jacket, baby girl. I'm not gonna talk about him this episode. You know what? We should set up basic
Okay,
rules
we
this
have a
episode.
pact this episode. I won't
Yes.
talk about Omegaverse. Even when Dean says hot breeding action.
And I will not talk about Ace Attorney that features a character who fancies himself like a wolf furry. Shi-Long Lang. I will not talk about any of those things. Okay, we're
Alright.
good. So, the guy freaks her out, so she goes to her car and drives away and, like, spends the night at home or something.
It's so weird that there's an extended shot of her, like, walking around the parking lot alone and scared. And, like, wouldn't you ask your friend to go with you?
Yeah,
Like-
but, like, if she's scared that the guy is possessive, right? So if she asks, like, a friend to go along with her, maybe she's worried that he's gonna go batshit over that as well. Like, this
So
guy
only be
is
possessive
not.
over, like, men in her life, though.
Yeah. Well, my wondering was, like, are the outsides of bars really this empty?
Yeah, this was, like, the world's largest parking lot for, like, a bar that was, like, 10 seats.
No, for real. Anyway, the next morning she goes to her office. She works at like a very fancy law firm, I think. And she goes to get coffee when she notices something, and she opens the door to Nate, her boss's office, and he is bloody and ripped apart.
Hell yeah, baby.
The visuals, the like special effects. By special effects, I mean practical effects on like the bodies that get mauled this episode are actually super good. Like they look realistic, they look like gory, and they look nice. Nice, I mean like, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty neat. This is like, like I was watching this episode because this one is directed by Kim Manners, right? So it is very quintessential early SPN, the look. And I was like, oh, I miss this look. Whatever happened to Supernatural after season 5 or whenever the shift changed?
Yeah.
I think I honestly like season 2 is the last season that looks like this. Like season 3 is a little bit wonky with the lighting. And in season 4 they changed cameras, so the look changed. So let's savor season 2 while we can. Because this is, I feel like, the last season where it looks like this.
Okay, wait, we forgot to mention that when she sees, like, her creepy ex across the bar, there's, like, this zoom in on her face, and it's the funniest shit ever. Do you remember
I did
this?
not notice.
Okay, because as soon as that happened, I was like, who directed this
Robert?
episode?
Robert, are you
No, it
here?
was Kim Manners.
Robert. Robert has infiltrated Kim Manners' artistic vision.
Yeah, he really has. So, we cut to a morgue where Sam is looking at Nate's body. He's like vertical in a compartment or something? Or
No, it's just the camera
it's
angle.
just the camera angle. Okay, yeah. So the mortician pulls him out, and he's got scratches all over that have been stitched up. And Sam asked the employee to tell him off the record who she thinks caused all of this. And she says, if I didn't know better, I'd say the guy was attacked by a wolf. But, that's not possible because the only wolves around here are in zoos. And then Sam asks, like, oh, also, was this guy's heart missing? And the mortician's like, yeah, how'd you know that? And he's like, lucky guess. So now we're at the motel room, and Dean's there, and seeing him there was like a slap to the face. I forgot that he was supposed to be in this episode. I hated seeing his face in this episode, etc.
I recognize this scene because he's playing with he's cleaning his weapons, right? And this is a scene, there's a scene in like an outtake where Jared was like, keeps on making mistakes, and he's like, sorry, and then Jared says like, this is difficult, and then Jensen is like, try like disassembling and then assembling a gun and tell me it's difficult to do what you're doing, which I thought was extremely funny. Anyway, that's it.
Right, Jared's not saying his line right.
That's Misha Collins.
I know.
Jared's not saying his lines right. Literally so true. Misha Collins deserves a GLAAD award for saying that in an outtake.
Oh, God. So, Dean's, like, really excited about this case, and he's asking about it. And he says, like, is this lawyer guy the first heart-free corpse in town? And Sam says it was the first man. Over the past year, several women who were sex workers went missing, and their heartless bodies washed up later in the bay. And they all worked near Hunter's Point. Okay, so Sam and Dean didn't show up until the lawyer guy showed up. Like, they were collecting their news stories, and they were like, who cares? What is the situation?
No, I think maybe they just encountered like an article that was like, this is a worrying turn of events since several women have gone missing just like this one all throughout this year. And they were like, oh, let's see. Because, usually like you don't connect the dots anyway until like
That's true.
the police do connect the dots, like in terms of like news about crime.
Yeah. I guess it makes sense. A lot of serial killers go after sex workers and then no one gives a shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so most of these murders happened during the week leading up to the full moon, which includes this week. And Dean's like, awesome. And Sam is like, bro, why are you like being such a nerd about this? And Dean says he's really excited because werewolves are a human by day and a freak animal killing machine by moonlight, and that makes them badass. Which, this doesn't really carry through the episode at all, right? Dean's
I don't
excitement
think
about
so.
werewolves. Yeah, I
don't think so, but also I don't think it's out of character or anything like that. Like I think it would make
Oh,
sense
yeah.
for Dean to be excited over a werewolf or like
Or a werefire.
You know, like- a werefire, as he would like to say. Like he seems like the type of guy to be excited over, shit like this. So it makes sense. Is Dean a furry? Sorry, I promised to not talk about furries this episode.
And you promised not to talk about Dean X Shi-Long Lang.
Exactly.
Yeah. I guess. Yeah, okay. I don't know what my point here was, but it's just interesting that Dean thinks werewolves are cool and badass, but as soon as he encounters one, he's just like, you're evil and I need to kill you, and I don't even think it's cool that you scratch walls up.
No, I think him being like, you're evil, I need to kill you, is the reason why he's excited. You know? Like, I'm killing something that's fierce and evil, and that's why he's so into it.
Yeah. Well, more importantly, after this, Sam says mockingly, okay, Sparky, and you know what? After we kill it, we can go to Disneyland.
I hope they went to Disneyland, like, after Sam
What?
kills
Sam sits in the
Madison.
teacup rides, like, going in circles and crying, and all the children around him are uncomfortable about the situation, and, like, parents are, like,
Literally.
leading them away.
Like, Sam needs to go to Star Wars Land or whatever it's called, and then, like, just start crying in the middle of, like, the Falcon ride. I have no idea about anything about Star
Sam
Wars.
needs to eat a Mickey Mouse popsicle.
Literally, he needs to eat the Dole Whip and fucking sob over it.
Yeah. He needs to, like, Dean takes him to the Buzz Lightyear ride where, like, you, like, shoot lasers at targets, and it brings up bad memories for Sam, and he just starts screaming and sobbing.
No.
Yeah.
So true.
So, yeah, and then Dean says, like, luckily, like, we have silver bullets, and we can use them to kill werewolves. And Sam says, okay, well, next, let's go talk to Madison, the girl who found the body.
Okay, so they go to talk to Madison. She's in her apartment. She's saying, like, oh, but I already told the police what's up. And Sam and Dean show up looking the least like police officers, like detectives in their fucking life. They're literally just, they didn't even bother to dress up for this occasion. They literally just went with their usual clothes. They're like, no, we just need to clarify a few things. And they start talking over the case, blah, blah, blah. This scene, we find out that Madison has a neighbor named Glenn who is very nice to her, and Sam and Dean probably think he's trying to hit her up. He's very timid. He has a very nice beard. Literally, his beard is fucking beautiful.
Also, he's wearing, like, this church t-shirt, red flag.
But his beard is so beautiful. That's all I noticed. That's literally all I noticed. Yeah. And then, anyway, Glenn goes out and Madison starts talking about how Nate is like an okay guy. He just happens to hit on her a lot. And she reveals that she knows of one enemy that Nate has, Madison's ex. Kurt is her ex, and he's a bit of a stalker. Like, he showed up in her office once and then got mad at Nate for like trying to hit on her or something and tried to beat him up. Chatter, chatter. At some point, he says, I'm lucky I kept my job, which is such a sad thing to say.
Yeah.
Like, it's not her fault that she has a very abusive and physically violent ex.
Yeah.
But Sam and Dean start suspecting that Kurt is the vampire, so they ask for a name, they ask for an address, and they head out.
Also, this whole time, Dean is, as the transcripts say, practically salivating over Madison. Yeah, like, right when Madison's like, oh, like, this snake guy would hit on anyone, like, you know the type. And then we cut to, like, Dean, like, leering at her, and Sam goes, like, yeah, I do know the type.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
set Dean up to be, like, a giant mega creep towards her this episode so that you think that Sam's okay.
The thing is, they do this thing where Dean is like a fuck boy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Sam is like a sad boy. Like, that's the thing that they're setting up with Sam and Dean this episode. And both are equally, like, so fucking annoying to watch, but like in an extremely funny way and super entertaining in a like, let's laugh at these guys aren't their fucking losers way.
Yep.
They're literally fucking losers.
Literally
Like, both of these guys are such losers. Jesus.
Yeah. Remember that time you asked, like, if, like, Sam or Dean approached you at a bar, like, would it work on you? Like, look at how fucking terrible they are right now. They're such losers. I don't understand how they've, like, ever had sex.
You know what? I stand my ground that episode. Wasn't that episode, but I said like a little bit in the past, right? That like Dean is like the kind of guy that I would rather go for than Sam. Cause like I would rather like fuck around with the fuck boy than with the sad boy. Like, Sam is so fucking annoying. Like, at least Dean is straightforward with his intentions. Like, there's no doubt of what he's doing. And Sam is like, you're interesting. Like, fuck off.
God, okay, the funniest, I guess we'll get to it, but when Sam's like, you're clearly smart, you have a lot of good books around your house, like, I would have killed him. I literally would have shot him where he stood.
Literally.
He's literally the type of guy who, when a girl invites him over, he goes to inspect her fucking bookshelves to check that she's sapiosexual enough for him.
He literally is. Anyway, as Sam and Dean leaves, Madison hears like a scuffle outside, a dog barking. And as she peeks out, she sees Kurt outside and he's still being a creep and still stalking her. And then they do this thing where she like looks and then she like blinks and he's gone. So like you're like, ooh, mysterious. He may or may not be the werewolf. Probably he is, blah blah blah. I mean, everybody knows the twist to this episode, right? Like, Madison is the werewolf. So, spoiler.
I think everyone knows.
Yeah, but they do a pretty good job of hiding that until the moment arrives. Mm-hmm. Anyway, they go to Kurt's apartment, they pick the lock, and they start looking around, and they don't see anything in the fridge, which is where Sam presumes the guy would keep the heart. But Dean sees something in the balcony, which is like a giant scratch down the concrete wall, and he's like, "Oh, look at this." And like on the other side of the fucking wall, we see a police officer hear a bunch of noise, so he goes to inspect it, and he gets mauled by our werewolf.
Hell yeah, baby.
Hell yeah. Madison did nothing wrong.
Yeah, no, she really
She
did
killed
not.
her annoying boss. She killed a cop. She killed her stalker ex. Like, she's fine. Let her off the hook.
Literally, he's fine. I do want to know the specifics of what happened here, though, right? Like, she turns, and was she, like, trying to go to Kurt's to kill him, and then she saw a cop on the way, and she was like, he's gonna stop me, so let's just do that first.
Yeah, probably.
Good for
I think
her.
she's like on her way to killing Kurt at this moment.
Yeah. Good for her.
Anyway, eventually Sam and Dean hear the noise of the gunshot from the cop, and they go down and see that he is mauled to death.
Yep.
And they go call 911, and their belief that Kurt is the werewolf just intensifies.
Are Sam and Dean still wanted by the police and the FBI currently?
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, definitely, right?
Yeah, so why did they? I guess they could have just done an anonymous call into 911 and then left.
I mean, can you still do anonymous tip calls
I don't
at
know.
this point in time? Because, like, at that time, I assume, like, if you call from a payphone, they'll just trace back the location but not the person, right?
Oh, that's true. Yeah, so they probably called from
But-
the payphone.
But if it's like a cell phone situation, I think you're easily traceable.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually think about these things a lot because, like, you know, it's terrifying how easily you can be traced back to your exact location at any given point.
Yeah.
Which is why I generally don't have a phone when I go out. Which is
Oh,
a weird
really?
thing to say. Yeah, I just bring my iPad, and my iPad doesn't have a SIM card.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
I am
how
an
do you-
iPad baby. Yeah.
How do you contact people? Like,
I don't. Like, my mom is very angry at me. Not very angry, but like my mom gets frustrated at me because like I'll be like, okay, I'm going to the bookstore, and then I go out of the bookstore and I'm like, I don't know where anyone is.
I mean, that's probably a good call. Like, you're making the right decision. But,
So
I'm a
true.
phone baby, so I can't. They decide that they need to go check in on Madison because she might be in danger while Kurt's out here killing people as a werewolf. And we see that when they knock on her door, Glenn opens his door and is like, hey, what's up? And he won't go away until they tell him that they need to talk police business in private. So yeah, he and his beautiful beard and his terrible church shirt are being creepy. Literally, like,
Yeah.
they're like, yeah, no, Madison's surrounded. How many creepy men does Madison have in her life? 5? 5, right? Nate, Kurt,
no,
Glenn,
four,
Sam,
four.
Dean.
I know, 17, yeah, so
Yeah.
5.
Right.
It's just this episode too.
Yeah. This entire episode is Madison's no good, very bad day surrounded by creepy guys.
And death. Let's not forget that she dies at the end of
That
this
she dies
episode.
at the end. Yeah, and I really think the point of like all these creepy guys are just to make Sam look relatively better.
Ugh. Ugh. I have
Yeah.
much to say about Sam and his "you're interesting" line later. Much to say.
Yeah, so they go in and ask her about Kurt, and she says that he was outside last night, like staring at me. And Dean's like, hey, like in case you're in danger, one of us should probably stay here with you in case he stops by. And she tells them where he works. He owns like a body shop, so like a car fixie place.
Yeah, that really threw me off. I did not understand what a body shop means, so I was like, wait, this guy's what? But yeah, he is a car mechanic, I'm assuming.
Yeah. So, Dean's sort of thing, I guess. And Sam. Okay, so she goes off to write down the address of where he works. And while she's away, Sam tells Dean, like, okay, you should go find Kurt and I'll stay here. And Dean says, forget that. You go after the creepy ex. I'm gonna hang here with the hot chick. And Sam says, dude, why do you always get to hang out with the girls?
You know what I thought when this happened? I was like, Sam, the reason why Dean always gets to hang out with the girls is when you hang out with the girls, you always fuck them.
Yeah.
Literally, every time you have hung out with a girl, this entire show, they have become a romantic interest for you. Like, things are not faring well in your department in terms of creep behavior. Like, you need to calm down.
Yeah. Right. Do we have, what, Lori, Sera?
Yeah, Laurie,
Yeah.
Sarah, and Madison, yeah.
Yeah. God.
And it's funny too, because they do the thing. They do it more naturally this episode than in Sarah's episode and Laurie's episode. But usually, right, like when Sam is about to have a love interest, they like put him on the spotlight and have him do the interviews and shit instead of Dean, who usually does it, which I
Yeah.
think is incredibly funny. They
It
do a
is.
good job of not doing that this episode, but there's still little vibes of it going around.
Yeah, okay, so Dean says, because I'm older. Oh, this is such a fucking stupid conversation. I mean, like, obviously they're talking about these women like they're commodities and it's gross. But also, this is just stupid. Yeah, so Sam looks at him, like, so offended and goes like, no, screw that. We settle this the old-fashioned way. And he, like, puts their coffee down and he raises his fists. And you think that they're gonna punch each other, which they should. But no, they do rock, paper, scissors. And Sam wins because he chooses rock and Dean chooses scissors. And Sam goes, like, with a mocking voice because he's, like, a little shit this episode and it is fun when that's directed at Dean. He goes, like, Dean, always with the scissors.
And they do it again. Like
Yeah.
Dean says, like best of two or best of two or something.
Yeah.
And then they do rock paper scissors again, and Dean does scissors again. What a fucking loser! He's literally he was like, I'm gonna reverse the psychology. This guy's so hard, and Sam was like, you know what? I'm gonna reverse psychology, you man.
Yeah, it's very fun. I think, isn't there that, like, rock, paper, scissors trick out there that's like, before you start, you should mock the other person because when they start feeling defensive, they'll throw scissors.
They do the
'cause it-
scissors?
It
Yeah.
feels like more of a, like, opponent.
Natural
Yeah.
form of your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's sort of what Sam's strategy always is. And because Dean never unclenches, he just always throws scissors.
Exactly.
Yeah, so, yeah, Sam wins again, and he, like, pats Dean on the shoulder and is like, bundle up out there, alright?
It's cute.
Yeah, it's cute. It's a cute scene.
If
He
you
is a
ignore the
funny
fact
little
that
man.
they're
Yeah.
if you ignore the fact that they're playing rock paper scissors to figure out who gets to say with the coat hot chick, like it's cute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Sam is now spending the day in Madison's house. This is the beginning of the funniest scene in the entirety of Supernatural. Literally so fucking funny.
Like, I don't think we can describe it properly. Like, you guys just need to watch it, honestly. I will never recommend
Literally.
watching Supernatural except for this scene.
So Sam is like sitting on I assume like a dining table, but like it's very small. So he's just sitting at a chair in front of a table, right? And Madison, and he keeps on eyeing Madison. He keeps on looking at her. And Madison notices this, and she's like, you want to sit on the couch? And he's like, no, I'm good here. And then a little bit later, Madison comes back with a pile of clothes that she dumps on the table, except all the clothes are her like underwear and stuff. And she starts lifting them up and unfolding them. And Sam is like, okay, I'm going to go sit on the couch. And like we pan to Madison and she's smiling, which I thought was like, good for you, Madison.
Yeah.
Literally good for you.
Yeah, like you think that your shitty stalker ex is out there killing people and there's like a hot cop nearby and you're like, you know what? I will throw my bras all over his head.
And I mean, she tried to give him an out. She was like, you want to sit on the couch? And he was like, no. And he was like, okay, I'm gonna fold my underwear in front of you. Good for her. Good for her.
Yeah.
Anyway, Sam is sitting on the couch. After she folds her clothes, she goes to sit beside him. And they start watching TV. And the angle at which they shoot this is also so funny. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but like, it adds to the humor of the situation, right?
Mm.
So, they're sitting down and she's watching like a soap opera, and Sam looks at her like, ugh.
The Dean phone call before they watched?
Oh. I literally do not care about the plot of this episode.
No, it's not even a plot thing.
No. Oh yeah. Dean like calls and it's like, so what? You're sitting on the couch all stiff, and then what does all stiff mean in this situation?
Is it like a stiff, and a stiff is a corpse? So he's just saying like, oh, you're being useless.
Okay. Yeah. And then Sam's like, oh, did you find the guy? And then Dean's like, no, but I figured out where he might be. So what's she wearing? And Sam's like, goodbye, Dean. Fuck off. And then he hangs up.
No, it's just so funny. Like, with both Sera and with Maddie, it's all like, I don't know, it's all like Dean's like making the sex jokes and pushing Sam towards it, and Sam's like, no, I would never betray the integrity of a case by fucking someone involved. And then he goes and falls and gets his dick stuck in the...
Jesus. Yeah, anyway, like I was saying earlier, they're sitting there watching TV, and Sam's like, oh, we're watching this, like, with his eyes. And Madison is like, you know, I saw that. I get to watch my own show because this is my fucking television, so shut the fuck up. And then we cut outside, and then we cut inside again, and the show has ended. And Sam's like, wait, so you mean these two persons got married so that they could get the inheritance? You know, he starts narrating the plot of the telenovela. And Madison is like, what, you're hooked now? And Sam's like, no, I wouldn't say I'm hooked.
Most importantly...
Oh my god, he says what a bitch!
Oh my god, yeah. He's trying to get with this girl, and he's like, I think the way to her heart is to call a fictional woman a bitch. Like, with my whole chest.
Literally, the way he says it too, like, what a bitch. I'm like, Sam! Come on, Sammy.
Come on, Sam.
Come on,
okay,
dude.
So we are pulling up the spreadsheet, obviously.
How many does he have?
This is his second in season 2.
Very little in comparison, I feel.
Yeah.
How about Dean? What's Dean
Dean's
up
at
to?
10. But we haven't given him any for this episode yet. I feel, should we just give him 1 for his general demeanor towards Madison?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay,
Also,
so
did we
Dean's
give
at
him
11.
anything in Tall Tales?
Shit, wait, we were going to, right? Wait, which one is Tall Tales?
I've literally forgotten. You know what? Since we missed it, let's just leave it be. Dean, you're off the hook this one time.
Is he?
You don't want? You don't want? Don't you record it with like alongside the episode? Like you
I do,
check.
and I remember I said that I was gonna give him a point, but I don't see one here. Maybe I accidentally put it on 214 instead of 215. What was 214? Born
No
under a
fucking
bad
idea.
sign? Was Dean misogynistic and born under a bad sign? I don't think so.
I don't even know.
I think
what
I
the
think I
episode was
just
about.
I think I just accidentally
No,
okay, I think I
we
did
put
give
it.
him
We put that in there because of the way he treats Joe, and we were very defensive, and we were like, "Dean, fuck you for treating Joe like that."
Okay, then in that case, I am gonna go back and add one to Tall Tales. So now Dean's at 12. Which is a nice clean number. Like 2 times 3 times 2 is a nice number. Alright, so
So, Madison is, they're still sitting, they're still laughing, they're still talking, and Sam says, "You know what? Can I ask you a question? It's personal." And then Madison says, like, "You've seen my entire underwear collection, so yeah, go ahead." And then Sam says, "Okay, you're very smart, clearly. Your house is full of great books.
I hope he dies.
You're independent." And then he says, like, "Yeah, what's your point?" And Sam says, "What were you doing with Kurt?" As in her ex. And then Madison says, like, "Well, it's not like he introduced himself to me as, like, I like to punch people and I'm violent and all that shit and possessive." And Sam is like, "Yeah, I guess we all make mistakes." And she says, "Yeah, mine's wanted by the police." Well, guess what, baby? Sam is also wanted by the police.
So true.
And then she said, like, "You want to know why I stayed with him? I was too insecure to leave." And then she says, like, things happened to her in the past, and it just so happened that one day she got mugged, and she realized that, like, oh, I can keep feeling sorry for myself, or I can, like, take control of my life. And so she did, and the first thing she did was leave her ex. And apparently after that, everything, like every other opportunity, just opened up for her. And it's wonderful. She's having a wonderful time.
Yeah. And I really like this idea that quote unquote monsterhood can be good, because I'm sure part of it was like just her feeling more confident and like physically strong because like she's a werewolf. Yeah, so it was good to see the positive side of monsterhood, even if this episode doesn't like further that at all.
Yeah. I like this scene, like the no. I like the way Madison speaks about her life experience in this scene, because like in a real life conversation, this is how it would also go, like you wouldn't like go in too deep, like when she said like she stayed with a guy because there were other things going on, like she didn't get into it. And you can say that she didn't get into it because it's not relevant to the plot, but like in real life, you meet someone and you're telling them your life story, you don't get into all the details as well, like you just go into the surface level, and if it gets deeper, then it gets deeper, and that's what's happening in this conversation. And it feels natural, even though we find out later that it's exposition. So I like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, now to the parts that I don't like. Sam says, "You know what? You're unusual." And then she's like, "Unusual, like," and then she like does the thing where it's like the symbol for crazy. And Sam's like, "No. I mean like unusual, like impressive." And Madison's like, "Oh, you think so?" And they're flirting it up. And the thing about this scene is, while watching it, I was cringing and laughing and all that. But the reason why is because I have had similar conversations with men in my life, right?
Yeah.
Like you meet a guy for the first time, and I feel like, okay, not to generalize, right? But I haven't really met a lot of straight men in my life. Like that's just not the circle I go around in.
Yeah.
when I do, it's always very interesting. Like, I'm always like, what a weird experience this was. Because I feel like straight men tend to do this thing where they assume that a woman's life is like empty of meaning. And then they have a conversation with a woman.
Yeah.
And it's like a meaningful conversation. And instead of thinking, oh, that must mean that women do have inner lives and are interesting and have like meaningful experiences. They just think like, oh, this one woman specifically has an interesting life. And I feel like that's what Sam is doing here.
Oh my
like
God, man.
like instead
you're
like
not like other girls. You're such a
Yeah.
manic pixie dream girl. Fuck me.
he's
now.
literally manic pixie dream girlifying this woman. And like it reminds me of this one time.
Yeah.
This is so incredibly funny. I was talking to a guy at like a music festival situation, right? And we're just having fun. We're having a conversation, and then he like does a little thing where he like asks me out a little bit. You know, like he's like entering the topic. And I was like, no, this is not like that at all. Like I have a girlfriend. It's not like that. Okay, here's what he said. He said, "Wow, you're so honest and straightforward and interesting. If all lesbians are like that, I wish all women were just lesbians." Sam Winchester would say that 100%.
He absolutely would. Oh God. Who do you think he says
I
it
wish
to?
all. I don't know. But I wish all women were lesbians. It's the funniest thing anyone has ever said to me.
Only lesbians are honest and interesting.
Literally. Which is why while watching this episode, I literally fucking lost it when this scene came up. I was like, Sam is literally that guy I was talking to. He's literally that guy.
He really, really, really is. Also, Sam makes faces like the whole time, right? Like he's making faces that are supposed to convey like, oh, this is awkward because there's so much sexual tension going on, and I have to keep smiling weirdly at you and looking away and like jerking my face around, and it's like, bro, stop.
He's doing the Jared Padalecki
Yes.
like smile. You know what I mean? Like he has this iconic thing that he does with his face, where he acts with like his lips or whatever. And it's such quintessential Sam Winchester, and it looks so fucking funny this episode.
Yeah, he's such a loser. Like, Madison's actress is like getting the like sort of shy because you sort of like this guy like face is fine. Like she's like doing like little smiles and looking away. He's like twitching up a samba in this face. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, their conversation gets cut short, thankfully, by Dean calling Sam.
Dean's in a strip club, and that's where Kurt is, so he's followed him there. And the whole time on the phone, he's like, oh yeah, I'm like totally paying attention, but what he's paying attention is the stripper. We don't actually see like a shot of her, we just see a shot of like feet in high heels. Dean foot fetish confirmed.
So true.
And he like,
You know,
yeah.
you know that joke they make about like, what they say about men who look at women's shoes.
What is that? Oh, that they're gay?
No. Yeah.
So true.
I'm actually not sure if that's the punchline of that joke. I just have heard the first part of the joke. But I'm assuming it's a gay joke because everything is a gay joke.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, he hands her a 1. And, yeah. I hope that he brought more than that $1. Now we're back to Madison's place, and she tells Sam, like, okay, I'm gonna go, like, to bed now. And I think she's trying to get him to come with her, but Sam, like, sitting there, like, stiff, like, hands on his thighs, looking forward, goes like, okay, yeah, well, I'll be here.
Literally, Sam is like, I cannot ruin the integrity of our investigation. I must sit here and pine in silence. He's such a nerd.
Sam says, like, if you hear anything and if you wake up, you should just call out. And he looks so awkward, and she just says, okay. And she just, like, goes into her bedroom, and Sam sighs a sigh of sexual frustration. So Sam's just sitting there while Dean is outside of Kurt's, and he starts hearing glass shattering upstairs, and the lights are off, so he runs up, and he sees Kurt, like, super dead, super torn up and bitten, and a woman with dark hair over him, and she turns towards him and hisses, and it's Madison! Yes, go girl.
No. It's Madison.
It is. Sorry, but also, like, yes, kill.
Literally kill this guy.
Yeah, so she, like, runs Dean into, like, a wall, and he cuts her arm with his knife, and then she, like, jumps out the window.
Yeah. So, back in the apartment, Dean is now awake because he, like, fell unconscious when Madison knocked him over. And he's calling Sam, and he's saying, like, the werewolf knocked me out. It's Madison. Sam is like, no, it's not Madison. She was here the whole night. And she takes a peek at the bedroom, and she is there. And she looks like she hasn't moved. And Dean says, check her right arm below her elbow. I nicked her with a silver knife. So Sam goes to check, and so Madison wakes up, and she's like, oh, where the hell are my pajamas? And then she's like, Sam?
This is such a fucking terrible situation for her to be in, and he's just gonna make it so much worse.
Yeah, she's like, I don't know what's going on. What's going on, Sam? And then Sam, like, notices the nick on her arm, and he goes to the door, and Madison follows her and asks, where are you going? And then Sam is seen locking up the door, and then he says, I'm not going anywhere. God. It's terrifying, right? Honestly.
She doesn't remember anything. She wakes up without her clothes on. There's this random guy in her house that she barely knows, and he's locking her in. Like, oh god. Like, I think that sometimes it's okay to let werewolves kill people, even if you think they're doing it on purpose, just to prevent being creepy to women.
Literally. Shi-Long Lang would never do this. No bringing him up. No bringing him up.
We cut to Madison, like, tied up in a chair with Sam standing in front of her, like, waving his fucking gun around. Jesus Christ. So, yeah, she's crying and clearly scared. And she says, like, I, like, can't believe I fell for the whole, like, I'm a cop thing. And Sam says, well, I guess neither of us are who we said we were. Huh? And, yeah, she tells him, like, you're sick, you're imagining things, monsters don't exist, and he keeps telling her to stop pretending, but she just keeps insisting that, like, I'm not a werewolf, like, that's not a thing, you know that. Sam's like, no, and he, like, points to her scratch, like, I think with his gun, and he's like, where did that come from? And yeah, she just keeps crying and saying, like, please stop doing this, like, don't do something you're going to regret. This is just such a bad situation. Sorry, Madison. I can't believe you sleep with this guy after this.
I know.
Like, I knew that they were gonna sleep together, but I thought it was gonna happen, like, last night.
Before.
You know?
Yeah.
I was certain that it would have to happen before, because I was like, it would be such a fucked up power dynamic if they slept together during a time when Sam knows he's gonna have to kill her. Or something, which I guess it isn't the situation, but it's still, they slept together after Sam, like, made her probably terrified that he was gonna rape her for, like, several hours. So, love that. Yeah, so there's knocking at the door, and Dean comes in, being a little shit, and he's like, oh, how are you doing? My head feels great, by the way, because he thinks that she remembers throwing him across the room. And Sam pulls Dean into another room to talk, and says, like, I think that she has no idea what I'm talking about. Like, she doesn't really know she's changing. They really put the woman who doesn't know she's a ghost and the woman who doesn't know she's a werewolf back to back. Like, space it out a little bit. Dean said, okay, so Sam says, like, maybe when the creature takes over, she blacks out. And Dean says, like a really hot, incredible Hulk. Okay.
Boo.
I
mean, the Incredible Hulk is
and,
already hot.
Yeah. First that.
Number one. Number two, yes, she is tied up and crying. Like, come on,
this is
dude.
not the time. I'm gonna start straight Dean truthing because he said this. He doesn't think the Hulk is hot, and he's not attracted to men. Yeah, he's like, she killed her boss and her ex. Like, that doesn't sound like she was just being unconscious. And Sam's like, yeah, but what if it was just some animal part of her brain that saw those guys and the cop as threats? So true. And he tells Dean, like, that there was something in her
What
eye.
are you, the dog
Oh,
whisperer
he says,
now?
what are you, the dog whisperer now? Okay, alright. Yeah, so...
Do you know the TV show The Ghost Whisperer?
No. I thought
That was, like,
Whisperer
one of the
was used
very
for, like,
first...
animals.
No, there's a TV show called Ghost Whisperer, and it is, like, probably the first TV show that my mom watched where I'm also allowed to watch it.
Uh-huh.
And it's in the CW, 2005.
Oh my god, no.
No, it's not.
Okay.
ABC Studios. CBS. It's CBS.
Oh, just like
Yeah, and it's also 2005. It ran for 5 seasons, and I think it whet my palate for supernatural related stuff in my youth.
That makes sense.
Yeah. This is pre everything. Like, pre me watching TV shows by myself. I watched this with my mom. I highly recommend it, and by highly recommend it, I mean I don't remember anything, so if you watch it and it's bad, don't blame me.
Yeah, so...
But, like, wait, I said that because when I was younger, I thought the dog whisperer was a reference to the ghost whisperer. So, like, I thought the TV show The Dog Whisperer was based on like a spin-off of the TV show Ghost Whisperer. Yeah, which is incredibly funny. Like, they were like, oh, step 1, talk to ghosts. Step 2, talk to dogs.
Correct of them. Ugh, is Sam good with dogs?
I mean, he has the whole thing where he, like, took care of a dog.
Well, first he ran it over.
No, like, when he was 15, he took in a dog when he ran away.
Aww.
And then, when season 8 happened, he ran over the dog. The duality of man.
God. I can't believe... he ran over a fucking dog, and Amelia
He took it to the vet.
Yeah, he took it to the vet, and Amelia was like, You have to take in this dog now. I can't believe you're just gonna abandon this dog. There are no dog shelters for people who don't run over dogs to take in dogs. It's yours now. And then they stumbled into a relationship. Women who sleep
So
with
true.
Sam are so interesting.
Like as Sam said, they're unusual. They're impressive. Like
Yeah, they are impressive. I could never. So, yeah, Sam says that he sees something in Madison's eyes, like she has no control over what she's doing. Dean is not having any of this because Dean's a dick. And yeah, he says, like, since she can't control it, even if she's telling the truth, it doesn't matter. Sam says, like, I'm not gonna kill her if she has no idea what's happening. And Dean says, Sam, she's a monster and you're feeling sorry for her? Fuck off, Dean.
Sam
And Sam
says,
says,
maybe I
understand
understand her.
I just feel it's been a while since we've gotten mirrors that are this unsubtle, you know?
Sam literally said, she's just like me for real.
Yeah, and okay, I will say that for this episode, despite how incredibly unsubtle they are about the situation, I think that there are some good mirror moments that are actually touching or thought-provoking, but also this line was just very funny.
Yeah. I did not think that way of the thought-provoking nature of the parallels. I just thought it was like so like in your face. So I was like, whatever. But I can see how it can be like thought-provoking, especially like right at the end. Yeah. We'll get to it when we get to it.
Sam goes like, look, like maybe there's some way that we can cure her, because Dad theorized that you could cure the werewolf if you kill the werewolf who bit you. So they're like, okay, we have to figure that out then. And Sam realizes, like, oh, I think I know who it was. So he goes back and asks Madison, who's still, like, tied up and fucking miserable when she was mugged. And she says it was about a month ago. She didn't see the guy. Sam asks if he bit her, and she says, how did you know that? So she says that it happened on the back of her neck. And Sam's like, oh, don't worry, like, I'm putting my gun down and I'm gonna go and check. But, like, he doesn't even tell her he's gonna go and check. He just goes over and starts, like, caressing her hair. Like, alright, dude. So, yeah, we see a pretty bad bite. And Dean says, like, oh, that's just a love bite. Believe me, that could have been a lot worse. Like, nobody asked, Dean. Like, shut the fuck up.
Literally, Dean should just always shut the fuck up. Like, I think he's so, like, at the end of the episode when he's, like, crying and shit. Like, it's good because he's, like, silent. Literally, Dean should just be quiet all the time and have a single man tear fall down from his face and show emotion without a trace.
Yeah, Deans were not made to speak. They were made to be spoken to.
Yeah.
Yep. And Maddie reveals that this happened near Hunter's Point, where all the dead sex workers had turned up.
Yeah. So, Sam and Dean go back to their conversation, and Dean says that they can't be sure that the werewolf that bit her is going to be at Hunter's Point, but Sam's like, it's worth a shot, it's the lunar cycle, like, the time's right, we need to find something to cure this woman. Eventually, they do agree that Dean is gonna go out and hunt for the werewolf while Sam stays and looks after Madison, except Madison is likely also gonna turn tonight. So Dean makes Sam promise that what if something bad happens and she does turn and worst comes to worst, Sam is gonna shoot her.
I love how they're like, if she breaks her restraints, which are one little rope around her hands, you gotta kill her.
Yeah.
Like, do they not have more rope or anything?
Yeah, anyway, Sam goes out and joins Madison again. And Madison is saying like, oh, please just untie me, just let me go. And then Sam sits in front of her and says, I know you're scared and I know you don't believe me, but I'm doing this to help you. And when this is over, and when this all passes, I'm just going to be a bad memory and you're gonna live your life and you'll never see me again. And you're gonna be fine.
This is the least reassuring thing ever.
Yeah, at some point he says the odds are against us and it's probably not gonna work and you're probably gonna fucking die because I'm gonna fucking kill you. Like, Sam.
Also, they're like, I know you don't believe me, but I'm doing this to help you. It's like the creepiest
it sounds
shit
bad.
ever
It sounds
if you
bad.
don't think werewolves are real and this guy tied you up.
Sam, have we considered that this is a bad look? Have we considered this, Sam Winchester?
Oh boy. Yeah, also Sam's like crying at this too. Like, shut up, Sam. This isn't about you.
Literally hold in your tears, Sam. It's not about you.
Yeah. So we cut to Hunter's Point, and there's a woman who the transcript says is quote unquote clearly a hooker. So yeah, they got the shoes from the box or whatever. Yeah, so yeah, again, I have a problem with Supernatural styling all their sex workers as like fake blondes wearing like fur coats or whatever. Anyway, so she like hears a howl and she's nervous. Meanwhile, we see Madison's fingernails go into claws and she starts having fangs, and obviously she breaks loose because like it's one like measly rope. And she starts attacking Sam. Meanwhile, the werewolf is chasing down this woman. And Sam is like... He like traps Madison inside of a room by like moving a cabinet in front of it. Which works the whole night, so I don't see why this couldn't just be the long-term solution. And yeah, so the werewolf's about to kill the woman at Hunter's Point, and then Dean goes like, hey, and then shoots him 3 times in the chest, and it's revealed that the werewolf is Glenn, still wearing his church shirt.
Still wearing his fabulous beard.
Yep. And the woman, like, is obviously scared out of her mind and runs away. And Dean, who just doesn't know how to fucking shut up, yells, like, after her, like, hey, don't mention it. Like, okay, she was about to get killed by a fucking guy with fangs, and then another guy showed up with a gun. Like, I'm not gonna trust the guy with the gun either. Like, I'm running.
Yeah, I'm just gonna run, dude. Yeah, Dean's annoying.
Yeah.
Well, we've already established this.
Uh-huh. So, Glenn is, like, bloody, and, like, he starts, like, turning back to his, like, human form. And he's, like, freaked out. He's going, like, oh my god, where am I? And he's, like, sees that he's, like, super dying. And he's going, like, oh my god, help me, please. And, yeah, Dean does not help. And he goes, like, alright, just take it easy. And Glenn just dies. So this implies that every single werewolf does not remember what's up when they
No, I think
wake
it depends.
up. Okay.
Because, like, I mean, we see later on that there's werewolves that are literally just living their werewolf lives, right?
I mean, I don't know. I
And they're
haven't
like,
seen them.
oh, yeah. Yeah, I literally forgot. But, you know, we have a beloved main character who's a werewolf.
Yeah. Yeah, oh, does
You know
Garth
who?
remember what
Yeah.
he
I
does
think
when
so,
he's
yeah.
in werewolf form?
I think he does, yeah.
Okay.
So, go Garth.
It pisses me off that Garth gets to live and that they find a werewolf cure for Claire in season 12. But here they're just like, it's too much work for us to build like a reinforced concrete room for you to go into a few days a month, so let's just shoot you.
Yeah. I mean,
I feel like out of all the creatures in Supernatural, werewolves are like the thing with like the easiest non-murder solution.
yeah, because it's not like they're like all around, you know, all the time, quote, monsters. They only literally just show up at night at certain days of the month.
Yeah, like they don't need to kill people to survive. I think it's like the main reason why, and they like generally are in control of their faculties except for occasionally. So like it's dumb.
Yeah, vampires are like that too, I guess.
Yeah.
But those are like the two main ones that are like, yeah, I guess at this point, oh yeah, because like it's not like she's killing the guys to like eat their heart and like etc etc. Like she's just hurting them because they're because she's afraid of them.
Yeah.
Although there is a thing in later seasons when we hang out with Garth's family where they eat like hearts of like an animal, I think. Like animal insides.
Okay.
I think at some point they eat gizzard, which like you literally just always eat that though. And I find it so funny that they were like, "Oh, we're eating gizzards," and it's like that. Literally, I ate gizzards last night. Like, come on, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the werewolf lore is pretty inconsistent because I'm pretty sure that
Yeah.
Madison's totally fine with like eating normal food. I feel like she would have
Yeah.
mentioned if she was only capable of eating animal hearts now.
Yeah, she's going through her Santa Clarita diet phase.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
okay. So some werewolves don't remember. But
Yeah, maybe some do, and maybe it's complicated. I don't know.
yeah.
We'll get into it when we get into it in future episodes.
Uh-huh. I just feel like with werewolves, like I don't know, like it really rubs me the wrong way when like they get killed because I feel like there's like pretty clear mental health parallels to what the situation is, and yeah, I don't know. Ugh, whatever. I have nothing more to say. Just that
I
I'm
think
annoyed.
the most vile time that the Winchesters killed werewolves is, oh no, these are vampires actually. Like there's just a couple vampires like drinking blood bags.
Oh yeah,
And then they just yeah, and then they just hop in and it's like let's kill these vampires, and it's like, come on, dude. Like they don't even acknowledge that one as like maybe this is wrong. Maybe we shouldn't be doing this. Like when the technology that they had that allowed them to do that vanished, they were like, "Oh man, what a waste!" And it's like, come on, you literally just killed innocent vampires, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. Anyway, the next day, Madison wakes up and she's in the room that Sam locked her in, and Sam opens the door and he says like it should be over now. And
Also, there's
you'll
a cut
never
on
see
his
me
cheek.
again.
There's a cut on his cheek.
Yeah,
It looks really
there's
good.
a cut on his cheek. Yeah, there's a cut on his cheek. He says, "You'll never see me again." And Madison looks around, and the entire room is scratched up to fucking death. Like, and this is when she realizes that, like, oh yeah, I do turn, and I am a werewolf, probably. And when she turns back to look at Sam again, he's gone like a ghost. He's literally gone. It's so annoying that Sam is like, you'll never see me again. Like, first, this is not about you, Sam. Shut the fuck up. Second of all, like, stop being so dramatic. This woman is having a very bad, no good day. And you're sitting here like, you'll never see me again. And it's like, Sam, now is not the time for drama.
Sam's just like that. So we're at the car outside, where Sam and Dean are like staking out Madison's place. And Dean says, like, it was sort of sad actually, because Glenn had no clue what was going on.
Sorry.
I've made promises that I intend to keep. Okay, he asks why do you think he turned Madison instead of killing her? Sam says, like, well, he seemed to have a thing for her. And Dean says, maybe his primal instinct did too. Maybe he was looking for a little hot breeding action.
So true.
So yeah, so
moments in Supernatural that needs to be quoted without context.
Context barely helps. So Dean goes like, so speaking of Madison, and Sam goes like, ugh, whatever. And Dean goes like, don't whatever me, you liked her, like, maybe. And Sam goes like, Dean, like, no, like, she thought I was like absolutely off the shits. And Dean says like, well, you saved her life. Wait, I don't, right, you've talked about the dynamic of like sleeping with someone whose life you just saved, right? Like, it's not, yeah, it's not good. Right, so Sam says like she doesn't know that, and then Maddie appears at their window, and she's, you know, this episode is written by Sera Gamble, because Maddie at some moments is clearly part of the Andreaverse. She just found out she was a werewolf. She was tied up and terrified and crying for hours.
She found out that she killed at least three people that she knows personally.
Yeah, and then a cop.
No, she knows personally, yeah. And a cop. The cop's fine.
Yeah. The cop that takes one off, actually, so she really only killed one person. Like, sins-wise. Yeah, but she appeared at the window. She's doing great. She's perky. She's, like, super down to befriend these guys. She's like, OMG, hi! Like, your car is kind of conspicuous. Like, why are you still here? And they say, well, we just have to stay here to make sure that you don't turn tonight. Dean says, so, you know, we're lurking. So true. And Maddie's like, I know that you guys just tied me up and made me cry for hours, but, like, why don't we all just hang out together, like, in my apartment? The last time that happened, that did not go well for you, Maddie. Also, just, you know that if you do end up turning tonight and they're inside your apartment, they'll shoot you, right? Like...
I mean, it's just,
yeah.
it makes sense that she would let them in, but for me, it doesn't make sense that she would be this friendly.
Yeah.
Like, I think this is a time in your life where you would be in distress like never you've seen before.
Yeah.
You know? So, like, the fact that she's, like, just like how she was at the beginning of the episode is disconcerting.
Yeah.
They agree that they're all gonna hang out together until sunrise the next day. And they hang out. At some point, Maddie and Sam are like sitting across each other, just staring into each other's souls. And Dean brings out the gun and puts it on the table, and they look at Dean, and Dean's like, no, just continue what you're doing. And then they continue looking into each other. So I was like, what the fuck? Couldn't they have had like a nice conversation at this point? Or like, what why are they not talking? Like, just have a conversation about how nervous you are and how like scared you are and how much you feel guilty about potentially having murdered all those people. Like, you know?
Yeah, because when Madison talks about that, like when she lets them in, all she says is like, you were telling the truth. What you did, it was to help me. Like, the point, like the point of her is to validate them for tying her up and scaring the shit out of her.
Like, this is not about Sam and Dean. This is about Maddie. And you are not giving her anything.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Anyway, at some point, the sun rises.
Can we make this shot the image for our episode?
Yes.
Do you want to describe
the image? It's... Wait. I'm gonna pull up the screenshot that you sent. So it's Sam, Maddie, and Dean standing next to each other as they look out of the window, and we see like the reflection of a house where the sun is coming up, like up the roof of the house, and it looks so fucking ridiculous. It looks like a very bad YA novel cover.
Yes.
Like extremely bad. And
yeah, like it's
extremely
clearly
funny
like a
as well.
bad romance where she has to pick between these two men, and like Dean's like her long lost like fiance who like became a werewolf and also got lost at sea, and like Sam's her current boyfriend, and she's right where Dean left her.
And obviously she ends up with Sam at the end. Like, it's that kind of YA novel. But it's extremely funny.
Yeah.
Anyway, Maddie is very happy that the thing worked. And she hugs Sam. And she's like, thank you so much. And Sam is like, and then hugs her fully. And, you know, Dean is being an asshole in the back and being like, and then Maddie's like, oh, thank you to Dean. And then Dean's like, okay, I'm going to go back to the motel and watch some pay-per-view and something else. Bye-bye. And then he heads out.
Is
and Maddie's like, oh.
just porn?
No.
Okay.
You can watch, like, sports on pay-per-view.
Okay.
Do you think Dean is the type of guy to watch sports, though?
No.
Well, he watches wrestling. We know this for a fact.
Right. Right. Which is basically
the
porn.
gayest, the sport. Yeah. So, yeah. Good for him.
Yeah. I guess I assumed he was saying this so he would sound like a sleaze, so Sam would look better. And also as a, like, since I'm going to be watching porn in the motel, Sam can't come back for several hours. You know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Anyway. Sam...
Wait, did you mention Dean's fist pump as he goes?
Yeah, and then Dean fist bumps before he heads out. Which is, like, so weird. Like, I don't know, it's so incredibly weird. But Maddie is standing there like, oh, he thinks he's so funny. No, he says, like, he thinks he's so smooth. And Sam's like, he means well, but... And Madison's like, oh, he means well, but he thinks you're gonna get laid, huh? And Sam is like, look, after everything that happened, and Madison is like, yeah, after everything that happened, we can't possibly hook up now, right? And Sam is like, yeah, like, it's just, it's not a good look, like, and then they look at each other for a prolonged period of time and lunges at each other, and they start kissing and fucking. They head to her bed. They start fucking there. Crystal sent me some very choice screenshots from this scene. And that's all that happens. This scene was so incredibly funny to me because there was just so much kissing.
Yeah.
Like, why are they at any single moment they're kissing? And it's like when Dean was with Cassie, right? Like
That was a
they
decently
kissed
shot
and then they
sex
did
scene,
other
yeah.
things.
The Cassie one was like a decently shot sex scene. Like, it wasn't
Yeah.
like gratuitous. Like, we got the general gist of what was going on, and they seemed to like be into each other. She went for his nipple, very important. This is
Yeah.
just like 5 million different shots of them mashing their mouths together at different angles. Like, I don't even know if they're kissing. Like, they just look like they're like
They're
bumping
just
their
like,
faces
yeah.
together.
Yeah, there's a lot of shots of like hands going down a back, shit like that. Anyway, at some point,
It's
I
so
realized that
long.
like she's gonna turn after they have sex, and I was like, "Oh my god, is Sam gonna chase after her with his dick out?"
Okay, how long was this sex scene? I wish I had timed it because I remember like sitting there for so long being like, how is this still going? And then I checked and there were 8 minutes left in the episode and I was like, literally if the rest of these 8 minutes were just more kissing scenes at different angles, I would not even be surprised at this point.
No, I don't think it's that long. I think it's decently. It has a decent curation as a sex scene. It's just the way they shot it was like quite funny, and not like, I don't know. I thought it was funny because it really was just like so much kissing at all times. Like at some point you're like they're not even having sex; they're just kissing while naked. So true though.
Yeah.
Anyway, eventually they're like asleep on the bed and Sam is like lying down and Maddie is right beside him, like on his arm and stuff.
Yeah,
And then
you know how they always have a specific blanket set up so that you don't see anything untoward on PG
yeah.
It's so funny because, okay, usually they have it at chest level, but here Maddie's on her side so she can cover up her boobs. And the
Yeah.
blanket's at like hip level, and Sam's hand
Yeah.
is literally on the blanket like he's pulling it up, like he's holding it above his dick. Good for him.
The thing is like this is what I'm wondering. When Maddie turned, was she naked?
Right, because when we see her again, she's wearing like a shirt that doesn't seem to fit her, so I feel like when she turned back, she was
Yeah.
like naked, which is like a terrifying position to be in.
Yeah. Anyway, Sam wakes up and he sees Maddie like turned in the window about to jump out and he chases after her with his dick out. But he's not able to get her. And he dresses up, goes to the motel room Dean is staying in, knocks the shit out of it, and goes, "Dean, she turned." And she did.
Yep. So they exit the motel, and Sam says that he called Bobby, and he doesn't know anything except that it's common knowledge in the lore that John's theory is absolute bullshit.
Yeah. They literally should have just consulted Bobby from the get-go.
Yeah. So yeah, killing the werewolf who turned you does nothing. And everyone says it's impossible to reverse this. Dean is like, how come she didn't turn
There's
like that
wait,
whole night?
in the transcript it says that while this is happening, Sam and Dean are quietly coming down the steps of the China Sea Motel.
Oh god, is that
Boo,
the
it's
name of the
West
motel?
Philippine Sea. That's my hot take of today. And by hot take, I mean political
Yeah,
opinion.
no, you're
It's
right.
not South China Sea, it's West Philippine Sea. Boo.
You're right, I agree.
We should rename this motel to West Philippine Sea.
Motel. Correct. we will call them after this. So Dana's like, how come she didn't turn when we were with her? And that's a very good question, and the fact that they don't go down that
They
alley.
answer it.
Do they say that she has to be asleep?
Yeah.
Okay, drink coffee for a few days. Like, you don't have to kill her.
Yeah, I mean, I think really the lock her in a room for a couple days of the month makes sense.
Yeah. And the sleep thing, like, I don't know, it's so, also, like, okay, and you only turn at night, right? Like, you don't turn during the day.
So just be nocturnal. Yeah.
Yeah, like, just, like, have her work, like, the night shifts, like, she can switch careers, like, it's gonna be hard, but it's better than dying.
Yeah. Literally.
It's just there's so many points in this episode where they like
Imagine.
bring up a potential like
Solution,
and then
and
they're
they
like,
just
nah,
go like, no,
that's
no,
too
no.
hard.
Imagine if they were like, Maddie, the solution to your lycanthropy is that you should become a worker of the night shift, and she's like, no, I'd rather die.
Yeah, that would be very good. I just, oh my god, we'll get to it later, but when they're like, we tried everything, and what they did was read a book for 2 hours.
Yeah, like they literally called Bobby, and that's all they did.
Yeah, we were like, we've consulted every source about werewolves in the entire world, from every culture. You did that?
From all societies and cultures, and we found nothing. Like, okay, Dean.
Oh my god, I'm fucking sick of these guys. They just didn't want to put the effort in.
They literally didn't want to put the effort in. Like, that's for real.
Yeah. So, yeah. So Sam goes like, we have to find some way to help her. Like, there's got to be some legend that we missed. And Dean's like, well, don't you think someone we know would have known it by then? You know 2 people, Dean.
Yeah, it's just I mean, we've gotten into it, but this entire conversation is so fucking annoying. Like,
Yeah.
Dean is just so convinced that she needs to die.
Right.
And like Sam is so convinced that they need to find the cure. And I wish they just stuck it out with Sam a little bit longer.
Uh-huh. Yeah, because I feel like the point is like, oh, look how sad Sam is, like, against the inevitability that a monster is a monster. Just literally just put her in the basement. Like, it's not that hard.
Literally, like at some point, Dean says like she's a sweet girl, but inside her there's something, and Sam says evil, and Dean's like yeah, and Sam says like that's what they say about me, Dean, but you won't kill me, but her you're just gonna blow her away, and like there is truth to that, right? Like that with Sam, it's always like it's complex, it's gray areas, it's complicated. And to be fair, like Sam hasn't really done anything wrong at this point, so I get it. Like he hasn't like murdered anyone out of his own volition at this point, aside from when he was possessed, but like that's not really him. But you can argue the same thing
this isn't really Maddie.
About Maddie. Like it's not her. It's just, let's just proceed, and then maybe we can talk about it when we're talking about our final thoughts of the episode.
Okay. So, the conversation that you said happened. Which I think, I think which is a good way to establish how, like, later on, Maddie's sort of the Sam, and Sam is sort of the Dean of the situation. Like, because Born Under a Bad Sign happened pretty recently. So they get a call from Maddie, and she's in a phone booth, and she's wearing, like, this shirt that doesn't fit her, so we assume that, like, she woke up naked and had to find clothes, which sucks. And, she says, like, I don't know where I am. And she tells him the street signs nearby, and they go to get her.
So eventually, they arrive at Madison's apartment again. And Madison is saying that she doesn't remember anything and that she probably killed someone last night. And Dean literally is like, yeah. Well, no, he says there's no way to know yet. And then Madison is like, is there anything that we can do to make me stop and to make it go away? And this is what we were saying earlier. Like, Sam is like, we'll find a way, we'll find a way. And Dean's like, we searched everything. We did everything we could. And they literally did not.
They called
And
one
Sam-
guy.
They literally called one guy. And then, at some point, like, Sam stands up out of frustration and walks away. And then Dean says, like, we could lock you up at night, but you'll probably escape. Like, then do a better job locking her up. Dude.
Fucking, like, cheapest excuse ever. Like, oh, you got away last time when we used one piece of rope to tie you. And also, you didn't even kill anyone last time you escaped your ropes because Sam just put a cabinet in front of your door.
What's that?
Oh, it's the fire alarm.
Okay, now that your alarm has stopped, where are we in the episode?
Yeah, Dean was saying, like, oh, like we could tie you up, but you'll escape.
Yeah. Madison realizes the situation that she's in and that there's no solution other than death. So she picks up the gun and starts forcing it on Sam and starts saying, like, I need you to do it. Help me, Sam. I want you to do it. I want it to be you. And obviously, like, Sam is very much upset by this. Like, he doesn't want to shoot this girl. And they keep on doing this thing where...
Yeah, very strong parallels to Born Under a Bad Sign.
Yeah, like, Madison is saying, like, I don't want to die, but I don't want to live like this too. Like, this is the way that you can save me, blah, blah, blah. Which, you know, like you said earlier, there's, like, some parallels to, like, mental health, blah, 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 in this, in, like, with the werewolf thing. And I don't think it's that straightforward, but this scene really did feel like just like a depression, suicide situation. And it made me feel uncomfortable. But, like, I mean, I get what they were going for.
Love it.
Yeah.
Alright, and obviously the use of the word save is very loaded because it's, you know, the Dean and Sam word
Yeah.
for... Yeah. Oh god, it pisses me off so much that, like Sam points out, Dean is gonna do anything to try to save him, but he's like, I don't want to put a cabinet in front of Maddie's door sometimes, so let's just kill her.
Yeah. Anyway, Dean walks over to Maddie and takes the gun from her. The implication being, like, I'll do the shooting. Sam, you can leave. So Sam walks to the other room. And he's crying now. And we get, like, a lot of the iconic shots from this episode from this scene onwards.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we will not be using any of them for the cover because we have already established that the Sunrise and cover YA novel is what we're going for. But Dean goes up to Sam and says, I'm sorry. And Sam says, you know, you're right. She's right. And Dean says, you don't have to do this. I'll do it for you. I got this one. I'll do it. And Sam says, no, she asked me to do it, so I will. He takes the gun, goes to the room, and we see his crying face. And then we pan to Dean, who has one single tear falling down his face. And we hear the shot. Dean flinches, and the episode ends.
Yeah. It was a good move to end, like, right on the gunshot.
Yeah. I really like the fact that Dean took the gun. I like the fact that he was like, this doesn't have to be your responsibility. This can be on me. Because it's one of those things, right? Where, like, Dean at this point is still like he had his entire life protecting Sam. And he's trying to protect Sam from this trauma of killing this girl. Or at least like shoulder some of the burden of it. And I like that Sam says basically like, I don't need your protection from this one. Because no matter what, it's still gonna be miserable for me anyway. So might as well be the one who does it. The fact that Dean volunteered got to me. This is what I was saying earlier, that like there are some scenes in this episode that really did evoke some emotions out of me. It's this scene when Dean took the gun. I was like, oh, okay. I get it.
Okay. Well, I didn't give a shit about that scene, but good for you. I think the main thing I just liked were the Born Under a Bad Sign parallels. Yeah. And just Sam, like, really pointing out Dean's hypocrisy in being down to kill any monster except for Sam. Okay, what I was really pissed about is how, like, this whole ending is first all about Sam and all about Dean. Like, when Sam leaves the room, we should have stayed on Maddie for at least a second. You know, before we went to Sam,
we
like,
never
sobbing.
Like, when Dean goes out, we should have stayed on Maddie. And, like, because the whole time she's, like, trying to keep a straight face. Like, I would have wanted her to see, like, actually crumple. You know, like, her face to actually be like, oh shit, she's sobbing now.
Yeah. But I guess they don't want to do that because they don't want you to
care about her
question
too much.
The necessity of her death, but unnecessary necessity of her death. And also, I think it's because in this, like, Born Under a Bad Sign situation, Sam is the Dean and Maddie is the Sam, and this whole season they've proved that
they care
the
more
writers
about
are
Dean.
more interested. Yeah, they're more interested in the, like, psychology of the person who has to kill the monster, like, over the psychology of the person who fears they're becoming the monster and wants to die to, like, prevent further harm. And that annoys me, because I think that the Sams of this world deserve more time on screen.
Yeah. So, overall, the entire episode, what's your valence? Positive, negative?
I had a really good time watching the earlier bits that were hilarious. I think that the ending is quite powerful. Just the, like, cutting to credits on the gunshot was just a good call, because I feel like a lot of episodes like this, they would try to have a wrap-up scene where they, like, make fun of the situation or make light of the situation at least.
Like, them driving off and being like, isn't it so funny that you fucked a werewolf? Like,
yeah, exactly! I can imagine that. Jesus. Right. So, those were the good bits. But that's all heavily overshadowed by how annoyed I am about how unnecessary it was to kill her.
I would say this episode is, at the beginning, so bad it's good. Like, it's so bad, it turns right around to being the most entertaining thing I've ever seen in this podcast. It was genuinely hilarious. And then towards the end, it's like, the other shoe is dropping, and you're like, oh, okay. It felt like, oh, they're trying to make points, and like I said, some of the points hit, but the other points were like, ugh, whatever, who cares? So, yeah, I think this is like, people would remember this episode for the sad parts, but I think the absolutely hilarious beginning should also be remembered.
Yep, big agree.
Yeah. So, best line, worst line. My worst line is, what a bitch. Literally.
That was so funny.
You know what? I'll have another worst line, unless you want to take it. You're...
Go ahead.
What did he say? You're, not interesting.
Unusual.
Yeah, you're unusual. I'll put that as my worst line as well. And by worst line, I mean it's also my best line because it's incredibly funny and made me scream.
Yeah. For worst line, I'm gonna go with Dean saying we've scoured every source. There's just no cure.
What's your best line?
Oh! Best line? That's harder. 'Cause I feel like every line in here that, like, could be hashtag deep is cheapened by how unsubtle the situation is.
Yeah.
I'm... Okay, I think I'm gonna go with, like, I don't want to die. I don't, but I can't live like this. This is the way you can save me. Because, I mean, I totally disagree with the sentiment, but
Yeah.
it was one of the more subtler ways that they called back to the Sam parallelism, and I feel like it was emotionally effective in the moment.
Yeah. Okay. IMDb rating.
Oh, wait, what? Oh, your best line is you're unusual.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's your IMDb rating?
I think this one's high.
I'm assuming
but
this is
I feel
high.
like some people are just gonna tank it because of the sex scene awkwardness, and they're right.
No, I don't think so. I think this was a solid 8.6 in the eyes of the general public. Or, like, at least the people who rate things on IMDb.
Oh, I was actually gonna go higher. I think I was gonna go like 8.8.
Oh, okay, so 8.6 and 8.8. Let's see. We're right in the middle of it. It's an 8.7.
Oh, 8.7.
Yeah.
Good for us.
Let's see what people have been saying. Heartbreaking. The episode with heart. Life is not a fairy tale. This episode made me cry. There was so much raw emotion. So true. By so true, I mean not at all. But sure.
Someone called the episode sexy.
No! Sam's...
Literally, I wrote down while watching this scene, like, this could be a PSA for, like, why I should remain a virgin. Like...
Sam's sex style
like,
is
this
revealed.
is gonna put off my first time, like, by a year, at least.
Like, oh, this review is titled Sam's sex style revealed. We finally get to see Sam getting some, and he's rough and awesome.
The thing is, this is consistent. Like, Sam's face before they lunge at each other is like his face before he and Ruby start making out in I Know What You Did Last Summer. Like, I think he does have a very specific sex style. And it's awesome. God, no.
Oh, wait, the one I told you about. It says, to the guy who says this is his wife's favorite episode, no freaking wonder, dude. Oh yeah, the story isn't too bad either. And then you scroll down on it, and one of the reviews is,
I can't hear what you're saying. You're laughing too hard.
No, like in a review above, it says like, to the guy who says this is his wife's favorite episode, no wonder, referring to the sex scene. And then like you scroll down a little bit, and the review is, this is my wife's favorite episode.
Yeah, another girl dies, and of course Sam was in love. I hate seeing that, especially after the series premiere, what happened to Jessica. I don't know how much more the writers can put him through.
So true.
He's gonna be tortured for 100 years.
This one says complete garbage. Sarah Gamble has hit the absolute low in regards to writing for this episode. Sorry. worst
Yeah,
episode so
exactly.
far,
Yeah, there's
exactly.
absolutely no halfway point in regards to providing an alternative lifestyle for the lycanthrope such as, I don't know, installing a steel cage. Simply stating that she did escape doesn't make it so. Yeah, say that. The one titled Sad Face says that their theory as to why people dislike this. Okay, first they said that they think that people dislike Route 666 because the Sam girls don't like watching a Dean sex scene. And then they said that they, as a Dean girl, didn't like this episode because they didn't like watching a Sam sex scene out of a fangirlish jealousy.
So, like, their point is, if you're a Sam girl, you don't want to see the Sam sex scenes.
No, other way around. You're jealous that Dean gets a sex scene in Route 666, and then the Dean girls are uncomfortable that Sam gets a sex scene in Heart. That's their theory.
I thought it was like, the Dean girls don't like it when Dean has sex with other women, and the Sam girls don't like it when Sam has sex with other women. Literally. I cannot get into the mind of, like, a Winchester fucking...
Fucker.
Yeah. A Winchester fucker 69. I cannot get into their head.
Yeah. Me neither. Which is why you're not cast-coded, I guess. But, I mean, I think I'm cast-coded and I don't get the Dean thing at all either, so who knows.
Wait. I just realized that, me saying that I don't get Winchester fucker 69 is very out of character for me regarding, like, previous
how much-
conversations we've had in the podcast.
He's so poggy!
Your pronunciation of foggy is so good.
Oh god, how do you say it?
No, it's
For
no,
real?
it's genuinely good. Like, I'm
Oh,
genuinely
like, that wasn't
complimenting it.
sarcasm?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyway, that's it for this episode of Bus Asian Beauties. Next week, we will be discussing Season 2, Episode 18, Hollywood Babylon! Leave us a rating or review wherever you get your podcasts.
Follow us on social media. We are on Twitter at twitter.com/beautiespodcast and on Tumblr at bustyasianbeautiespod.tumblr.com. Our official tag is BABPOD, BABPod. And thank you to everyone who's donated to our Ko-fi at ko-fi.com/bustyasianbeautiespod.
You can email us any feedback, comments, or inquiries at bustyasianbeautiespod@gmail.com. See you guys next time. Bye-bye!
Bye! Yeah, oh god, what's the... You know the post I'm talking about? The one that's like gonna start posting about Friends like it's supernatural?
Yeah, and then...
And, oh god, I don't remember, what, do you know the phrasing?
Yeah, I
Of
do.
Okay,
I'm gonna start posting about Friends. And then they were in love here. Like, and it's a picture of the two guys from Friends.
Yeah, no, but the person who added the reblog... Oh, wait, let me find it.
No, I don't remember. I don't know this one.
Oh my god. Why can't... It's so impossible to look up fucking Tumblr posts on
Anything
Google.
on Tumblr. Literally anything.
Okay, it doesn't matter, I guess.
Okay.
Oh my god, I do want to find it though. Do you want to take over while I just try to find this post that isn't even funny?
just leave it be, Crystal.
Okay.
What is it about?
So it's like the picture of two guys from Friends sitting together. Oh my god, why? Oh, okay, it keeps showing up in results, but then
It's like the
But then
entire
when
blog.
I try to click on, yeah. Okay, oh god, this is gonna bother me forever and I'm gonna ruin the whole podcast episode over a post that isn't even funny. Okay, I'm giving up. I am. Okay. Wait, okay, sorry, I found the post.
Oh god. Oh, what is it?
It's not even funny. Okay, so it's gonna start posting about Friends like it's supernatural, and then a photo of like two guys from Friends sitting on couches next to each other, captioned "They were in love here," and then somebody reblogs with the tags, "Honestly, homie on the left looks clenched down to the marrow with barely restrained lust." Anyway, that's Sam.
This is so unfunny. You know what?
It's not funny. Just cut it out. Just cut it out. Let's go back to the episode.
Sorry, I find this incredibly funny, but for like the most ridiculous reasons.